Let me ask you something. Before you say a single word to anyone, what have you already told them? Because you have. Your shoulders told them. Your walk told them. The way you hold your chin, the space you take up in a room, all of it speaks long before your voice does. And here's the thing most people get backwards. They think confidence is something you feel first and show second. But it's the other way around. You can build the feeling by changing the posture. Stand tall, not because you feel invincible, but because standing tall is a choice available to you right now, regardless of how your day has gone, regardless of what happened 5 minutes ago. That's the beautiful part. This isn't about waiting for confidence to arrive like some gift from outside yourself. It's about deciding, in this exact moment, how you're going to carry your body through the world. Pull your shoulders back. Let your chin sit level, not up in arrogance, not down in apology. Just level, just present. Move with intention instead of rushing, instead of shrinking, instead of apologizing for the space you occupy. Because when you move like you belong somewhere, people believe you. Not because you convinced them with words, but because you showed them with your body that you've already made peace with being seen. And that peace, that quiet, grounded certainty, is something no one can give you and no one can take from you. It's entirely, completely within your control. So before you walk into that room today, that meeting, that conversation that matters, remember this: your posture is not a performance. It's a decision, and every single day you get to make it again. Now here's something worth sitting with. In a world full of screens, full of glances stolen at phones, full of eyes that dart everywhere except toward the person actually standing in front of us, do you know what's become rare? Someone who simply looks at you, fully, without distraction, without one foot already out the door. That's it. That's the whole secret. Because when you give someone your eyes, not a stare, not something intense or uncomfortable, just steady, warm attention, you're giving them something most people never bother to give: presence. And presence is magnetic in a way that no clever line, no perfect outfit, no rehearsed charm ever will be. Think about the last time someone truly looked at you while you spoke. Really looked, like nothing else in that moment mattered more. You remember that feeling, don't you? That's what you have the power to give to someone else, starting today. It costs you nothing. It requires no talent, no luck, no permission. Just the willingness to be here fully, with the person in front of you, instead of half here, thinking about what's next. So the next time someone speaks to you, a stranger, a colleague, someone you love, try this. Let your eyes stay. Let your attention rest on them, like they're the only thing worth noticing right now. Not because you're performing interest, but because you've decided, in that moment, that they deserve it. And you'll find something remarkable happens. People don't just notice you when you do this. They remember you. Because in a world that rarely looks up, the ones who do become impossible to forget. There's a difference, and everyone can feel it, even if they can't quite explain it, between a smile that's put on and a smile that comes from somewhere real. You know the fake one. Corners of the mouth lifting, nothing else moving, eyes flat and unchanged underneath. And you know the other one too, the one that arrives on its own, that reaches all the way up into the eyes, that seems to come from someplace deeper than the muscles in your face. That's the one people trust. That's the one that disarms a room before you've said a single word. And here's what's worth understanding. You don't manufacture that smile by trying harder to look happy. You find it by actually being present enough, open enough, willing enough to let a moment reach you. It comes from noticing something genuinely funny, genuinely warm, genuinely good, and letting your face tell the truth about it instead of guarding it, instead of staying composed, instead of holding back because vulnerability feels risky. But think about it. What's actually risky is walking through life so guarded that nothing ever reaches you enough to make you smile for real. That's the real loss. So here's an invitation. Stop performing pleasantness and start allowing joy. Let the small things land. A good conversation, a moment of connection, something unexpectedly kind. Let your face say yes to that instead of filtering it through composure. Because a real smile isn't a technique you deploy. It's evidence that you're actually here, actually alive to what's in front of you. And that kind of aliveness, unguarded, unforced, unmistakably real, is something no one can fake their way into. It can only be lived into, one honest moment at a time. Think about the last conversation you had, where you walked away feeling truly good. Not because you said something brilliant, but because of how the other person made you feel while you spoke. Chances are, they weren't waiting for their turn to talk. They weren't nodding along while quietly rehearsing what they'd say next. They were actually there, absorbing what you said, curious enough to ask you more. And that's rarer than it should be. Most people listen just enough to respond. Fewer people listen enough to understand. But understanding, real understanding, is one of the most generous things you can offer another human being. And it costs you nothing but attention. So here's the shift worth making. The next time someone's speaking to you, resist the urge to plan your reply. Let their words actually land before you decide what to do with them. Ask a follow-up question not because it's polite, but because you're genuinely curious what they'll say next. Remember the small details. The name of their dog, the trip they mentioned last month, the thing that made them nervous. Because when you bring those details back later, unprompted, you're telling them something powerful. You mattered enough for me to remember. And notice this. You don't need clever words to make someone feel valued. You just need to give them your full, undivided attention, which in a distracted world has quietly become one of the rarest gifts you can offer. People won't always remember exactly what you said to them, but they will remember exactly how it felt to be truly heard by you. And that feeling, that quiet sense of mattering, is something they'll carry with them long after the conversation ends. Now let's talk about something simple, something almost too obvious to mention, and yet so many people overlook it while chasing more complicated ways to stand out. How you take care of yourself. Not in some extravagant, expensive way. I'm talking about the basics. Clean clothes that actually fit you, hair that's cared for, hands that are clean, a body that's been given the simple respect of attention. Because here's what most people miss. This isn't about vanity. It was never about vanity. It's about what these small acts communicate before you've said a word. When you take the time to care for yourself, you're sending a quiet message. To the world, yes, but more importantly, to yourself, that you matter enough to maintain, that you're worth the effort. And people notice that. Not because they're shallow, but because self-respect is visible, and it's magnetic in a way that's hard to put into words. Think about it this way. If you don't take care of the one body, the one presence you bring into every room you'll ever enter, why would anyone else believe it deserves attention? This isn't about chasing perfection or comparing yourself to some impossible standard. It's about the basics, done consistently, done with intention. A clean shirt, trimmed nails, a shower before you walk out the door. Small things, but small things practiced daily become the foundation everything else stands on. So don't overlook them. Don't treat self-care as an afterthought squeezed in when there's time. Make it part of how you show up, every single day. Because when you respect yourself in the small, unseen moments, that respect doesn't stay hidden. It shows up in the room right alongside you. I already wrote this one in my last message. Here it is again on its own. And now, the last piece, maybe the simplest, and yet somehow the one people forget the most. Energy. The kind you bring into a room before you've even finished saying hello. Because here's something worth noticing. People don't remember every word you said to them. But they remember exactly how being around you made them feel. Did the room feel lighter when you walked in, or heavier? Did people lean toward you, or quietly find a reason to step away? That's not luck. That's not some rare gift handed to a fortunate few. It's a choice made and remade conversation by conversation. Warmth, a little humor, the willingness to find something to laugh about, even on a hard day. None of that requires you to be the funniest person in the room. It just requires you to be open enough to let lightness in, and generous enough to offer it back out. Think about the people you're drawn to in your own life. Chances are, it's not the ones with the most impressive resume or the sharpest wit. It's the ones who make you feel good simply by being near them, who laugh easily, who make hard days feel a little more bearable. And here's the good news. That's available to you too, starting today. You don't need permission to bring warmth into a room. You don't need the perfect joke or the perfect moment. You just need the willingness to show up with a little more lightness than you found. Because in the end, people won't remember your posture, your eye contact, your smile, or your words in isolation. They'll remember how all of it, together, made them feel, and how you make people feel. That's the thing that lasts, long after you've left the room.